Talking about how to show a home as a real estate broker. How you show a home is going to be a big part of your success in the real estate business. You're going to have your own swag. You're going to understand homes differently than other people. And the way you present that home to your client, I promise you, is going to have a part in your success. It is fun showing homes. There is no doubt about it. But to me, there's a lot of prep work that goes in before you're just like, client says, let's go see 123 Main Street. You don't just hop in your car and go, right? There's a process way before that happens. You have your home search set up, or maybe your client sent you the listing from Zenlist or the MLS or Redfin, or who cares? They've sent it to you and now it's time to get going. You coordinate on first buyer tours, which is kind of what this chat is geared towards, and it's not first buyer, it's the first time the buyer's been out. So you're going to try and group together 3 or 4 or 6 properties to tour with that client. They probably cast a wide net. They're not really sure exactly what they want, but you also want to educate them on the process and be efficient. So make sure you're coordinating the drive from point A to Z in a directional pattern. It seems obvious, but you don't want to be bouncing all over and backtracking. So there are tools, obviously Google Maps and the MLS have those tools. Be efficient. We also, when you're requesting these homes, make sure you're looking at the process that the listing agent suggests or mandates. We love Showing Time. It's a great organizational tool for us. But if the listing broker has another way they want to communicate, text, email, respect that, even if it's nonsense and they have some crazy AOL email address they want you to use. You got to respect it. Otherwise, you're not going to get response and you're not going to get confirmation. When you do get confirmation for those showings, make sure you take detailed notes. I've actually been in this situation where, one, I write sloppily lockbox instructions, or there's like the lockboxes on the neighbor's fence behind the oak tree. You know, you might see a robin. They make the craziest notes, and people love hiding lockboxes. If you don't make notes and you can't find that lockbox, honestly, it's happened to me a few times. You're like, what in the heck? What did those notes say? So make sure you're paying attention. One day prior to the tour, I do like to send the actual itinerary to the client with the time frame expected on when we're starting and when they should be done. They obviously have a life outside of real estate, touring homes. They maybe have to get to their babysitter or job. Let them know an estimated timeline so you guys are all on the same page. No one's rushing. They have expectations set on timing. You also should send the actual listings to the client. I printed the listings back in the day and gave them to the client. Joe's probably cringing. He hates printing anything. I totally get it. Send them a Google Drive with all the properties so they can have them on their phone and slip through. Back in the day, I would actually bring the listing sheet and highlight some of the important facts, the price, because when you print an MLS listing sheet, buyers don't know what they're looking at. So you want to print price, HOA, assessments, taxes, maybe the year it was built, or any fun facts you could talk about. Make sure you're researching these properties. Not the nitty gritty, but like high level, understand what you're seeing and what you can talk about when you're on that tour. Really important fact, you have to know the area. Google Maps is fantastic. Know where the parks are, the community organization, what's around, shopping, grocery, local spots and local strips, and where this home is situated is going to be really important when you're talking about this home. When you're going in, you don't want the listing broker to take over the showing, and you want to be that person that also understands the local flair and the local flavor of this property and the area. When they send you the list of properties that they want you to tour, 6 or 8 of them, that's awesome. I love that. And oftentimes they'll be grouped in an MLS. Research off-market listings also, and make sure if there's anything relevant, throw those at them and say, hey, I know you suggested these, but did you see this private listing? Even on market like MLS listings, make sure they're not glancing over something that you think is a really good fit for them. Suggest properties also, because it shows that you're doing your job and you care. 2, they may not be as super diligent and understanding exactly the inventory that's out there, okay? Depending on drive times and how you're coordinating your tour, you don't want to rush, and you also don't want to be waiting in front of the property for a listing broker. In the city, we have listing brokers show almost everything. It's exhausting on both sides of it because you really have to time it out. In the burbs, there's a lot of lock boxes, but you're still going to be sprinkled with listing brokers meeting you. So as you mature in this business, you'll understand timing. It's dictated by, are you showing a condo? Are you showing a single family home? How big are they? When you're showing a condo, have a chat about the amenities with your client. Hey, is it important for you to see amenities on the first tour? Because I'm gonna have to budget a little more time. Do you want to see every parking spot in the condo building? All things that you should chat about. And again, shows that you're educated. It's not a nuisance or any type of, problem. Just you want to be prepared and time this out properly, whether you're going to be in the condo for 5 minutes or you need to tour all the amenities and the parking, so you can budget timing. Again, that's really important, and you don't want to have egg on your face texting all the brokers, telling them you're late or waiting for them. So I like about 5 minutes, literally 5 to 7 minutes inside of a condo for a tour on an average size condo, and about 10 to 12 minutes per home. And then you can add drive time, and drive time is going to vary depending on where you're touring and whatnot. So it's not uncommon for larger homes to have a 30-minute gap from one to the other. And for condos, I used to do them, no joke, every 15 to 20 minutes apart in the city, because we're driving 2-3 minutes and we're showing for 5-7 minutes, and it just worked out really well. When I'm showing the home, I always had the demeanor of devil's advocate. I never walked into a home and was like, this is it. This is your place. This is the greatest place ever. Let's just kill the tour. Let's write an offer right now. I always outlined the pros and cons of every property. Don't be scared to show your enthusiasm when you're there for a great home, but also if you feel like there's some things that may be a challenge for them, be their advocate. Let them know exactly what you're seeing and why it might be an issue today or 5 years from now. When you pull up to the home, this is like actually starting the tour. So that's all kind of prefacing back end work and like what you're preparing for. When you start the tour, again, city versus burbs, it's going to be a little bit different. You pull up, and some of the listing brokers absolutely dominate the tour, and you have to figure out a way to really put the ball back into your court and add some value. I just can't stand when brokers follow me around and are explaining every single room. This is the bathroom. Like, yeah, we know it has a toilet. Of course it's a bathroom. I like when brokers, and including myself, when you're meeting the buyer and the buyer's agent, introduce them to the home, give them the 30,000 feet, let them walk around, keep a 5 to 10 foot gap between you and them. And if you hear them chatting or have questions, sprinkle some information at them, answer some questions, let them do their thing. To me, it's an intuitive process. Buyers are going to either like it or they're not. Doesn't matter what you're chirping in their ear. It's not going to change their feeling or vibe about the house. Everyone kind of likes what they like. When I am touring with brokers and they do have a listing sheet, encourage them to take notes, offer them a pen, or use notes on the Google Keep. We love when people are being efficient. This is a process, and you have to keep them task oriented. When you're inside the home, I do like to keep in touch with my buyers. I'm next to them, so we usually go up first, because if you're going downstairs first, you have to walk 3 flights of stairs. So I'm doing the main level, then I go upstairs, and then you walk 2 flights down, seeing every room, adding some value, understanding natural light, the way the house is directed. Give them some thoughts on decor, layout, quality of the cabinetry and appliances, age, things like that. You're not a home inspector, and this is a first tour. You're sort of high level here, okay? Again, we're moving through these homes pretty quickly on a pace that keeps the buyer moving and gets them understanding what kind of inventory is out there. When it's a second tour or a second showing, you guys are really hyper-focused and spending a lot more time in these homes and being a lot more critical. This is just high level. What I loved about the city and driving with the clients, and I know a lot of brokers don't do this, but I always had my clients in the car. After you leave one property, you can do a recap. And if this person is like, you're all about eliminating homes, you really have to get through the process. I never forced buyers to make decisions, but I was very intentional about challenging them and making sure that, hey, yes, this works, or no, this doesn't work, or it's in the maybe bucket. If it's a no, get it out of there and get it off their favorite list, so they're not clouded by all these homes that are no maybes, because you really want to be efficient. While they're taking notes and while you're summarizing this tour, you want to ask the hard questions, and you want to make sure they have a favorite. It's always which one is the one to beat. And even if it's not the one, it's the top. And that way you can eliminate everything underneath. You definitely want to be an advocate for your client. You want to learn, you want to listen, you want to give your thoughts based on their language pattern and what they're loving and what they're not liking to you. You don't want to influence them too much, but you definitely want to give them your perspective on what they're giving you and what you think is the right move. Challenge them to think 5 to 10 years ahead. I love showing homes. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. And that's a lot of the reason I was in this business. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the interaction with the buyers. It is labor intensive, but make sure you're being intentional. One of the number one questions I would get from buyers when we were touring homes early on, I'd be like, Matt, what do you think this house is worth? I never answered that question. Always say, listen, we're here to just figure out what the right home is. Most of these homes are bulked in the same price. Once we're done and we have some favorites, I'm happy to run comps and give you my analysis on what that property value is. Just table that discussion. It's not worth having while you're in the home. And one, you're not going to know, right? You don't have the comps in front of you. So on these first tours, I like to get about 6 to 8 homes maximum. After 8, it's just exhausting. You're there with them for 2 to 3 hours. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of houses, and it really just starts to get blurry. So unless the buyer's in from out of town, 6 to 8 homes is really the max I like to do. And then after you're through the bulk of properties that they've seen and the new properties come out, make sure you let them know it is 100% okay for them to reach out to you and see one property. I used to have buyers tell me, Matt, it was just one property. We didn't want to bother you. You're not bothering me. This is my job. We have to see property, especially when there's tight inventory. You have to see new stuff when it comes out within 24 hours or it's gone. Body just told me he was looking at a property in Fulton Market, multiple offers within the first 24 hours. We're seeing it also. Make sure you explain to them that this is your job. Be positive, set expectations, and encourage them to get out and look at properties in a timely manner. Any questions here? I love the buying process. You guys are going to get more and more comfortable. You're going to figure out your own styles as you work through it. But to me, that was high level what I would always do with clients.
Hey, Matt, I first of all want to agree with you in that the showing process has been my favorite so far. And granted, it's pretty much all I've done so far, but I love it. And I really do. I like bouncing off of the people and whatever energy they're giving off. I try to read the people and see what they need from me. Now I do have a question, and would like your opinion on this. I've buyers who had a really long timeline, and I suggested because their range was so large that I suggested, and because their timeline was so great, I suggested that they take a couple weekends before we actually went out to see houses to just go to neighborhoods, get coffee, get a drink or whatever, and try to rule out or rule in neighborhoods. Do you think that feels like a blow off, or is that good?
I love it. Okay. And you also can suggest some open houses. Say, hey, I know you're going to Glenview this weekend. I pulled a few open houses for you. Go check these out. Let them know you're working with Kara, blah, blah, blah. A lot of brokers in the neighborhood know me or know us. Go at your leisure. They're open from 12 to 2. I love that idea. I would do it all the time, Kara. If you're casting a huge net, make sure that you're in touch with your clients. Make sure that you support them. Not only is the net wide and the price is wide, but their timeline's really long. I love it. That is not a blow off, but make sure you're being diligent about the follow-up. On Monday, be like, hey, I know you went to Lake Forest this weekend. Did you check out the farmer's market or blah, blah, you're
okay. And also send them the open houses. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Open houses, I always suggest. Yeah, of course. I love that question, and definitely suggest open houses for clients. It's amazing. It's a great resource for buyers that are casually looking but want to work with you. Body just posted on the Top Agent Network because he's looking for buyers specifically in a certain area. So that's another tactic. The market is really thin on inventory. Just get out there and see what you can. Talked about how to write multiple offers. Use all those tricks. I just had a listing last week where we had 40 groups through and 10 offers. It's tough. And people did everything from, offering their firstborn. It was pretty intense. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And I'm glad everyone is so busy in this marketplace. Hopefully people catch us on YouTube. Have a great day.
Thanks, Matt.